Welcome to A Scrap Life, a podcast solely focused on the hustlers, grinders, operators, and business owners who live and breathe the scrap metal industry every day. Here is your host, Brett Eckhart.
All right, here we are, ISRI 2024. I'm sitting here with Matt, Michael, John, Rongey from LA Scrap, and not LA like you West Coast guys think, Louisiana Scrap. So I've been excited about this one because I'm a family business guy, right? And it's not very often that you get fathers and sons to sit in the same room and still like each other and be able to talk about the scrap business, right? So thanks for coming out. I appreciate you guys taking the time. And how's the show going? You guys, anything fun other than like at night when you're done with the show? We were talking about earlier. How's the show going for you guys?
The show's good. We've been coming to these for about the last 15 years or so, and the cool thing is you get to see a lot of the old friends that you've known all these years. You get to catch up with them and their families.
Yeah.
And you get to see whatever the latest and greatest is as far as equipment goes. And then the last thing is being able to see what new products that are out there that we can use to improve our business.
Is there anything that caught your eye out of curiosity, like on the new product side? Anything that you kind of made you go,
Well, there's some new material handlers I've seen out there that I hadn't seen before, for sure. It's always interesting to see the kind of new things out there on that front, for sure.
Well, you guys run Cinnabogans, at least from one of the videos I saw online when it was picking off that big airplane taxi way, right? Like that was a pretty cool video, like a drone video.
Yeah.
And you had Ford. Were they 835s on it?
We've got 835s and several smaller ones, but 830s I think now they transitioned. But yeah, we do Cinnabogan mainly, and we have some rebearers as well, and combination of those two.
Are you happy with them?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Good.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Both of them. I mean, they kind of serve their own purpose, or?
Yeah, it depends on the type of yard we're at, whether it's going to be track or gonna be on hard wheels, but. Most of our stuff's on concrete, so we use not much tracks, but we do have a decommissioning site that's got, obviously on dirt, so we need to have some tracks for that, and it's been great for us.
The reason I asked that is not to get you to disparage one or the other,
yeah.
Because I remember when we got our first Cinnabogan, it was an 825, and it was a game changer for our business, right? I mean, all we had was excavators with the 3x2 ETH grapples. That was all we had. And I remember when we got our first Cinnabogan, I was like, oh wow, like the production, the ability to move stuff, and you could operate in a little tighter area because you could stack a little higher, and it just kind of was mind-boggling for me how one machine could kind of transform your yard. And so we ran all Cinnabogans, and they're all 825s. They're the same, maybe a couple years different, depends on the years we bought them. So I only know one machine. That's
sure.
Why I'm always curious, like when you think about it, like just out of picking your brain, like this one serve a better purpose, or where was the switch made, and
So my goal has always been in the business to be the best.
Yeah.
So it means a lot of things, right? To start off, you need to have the best employees. How do you get the best employees? You have to pay above market on wages. Mm-hmm. You have to have benefit plans that are the best, and you have to let all of your employees know that they're a part of your team. And the way you do that is, I try to walk every yard, talk to a lot of the employees. And the first thing I always ask them, are you happy? Mm-hmm. And I want to get the feedback on that. That's important. The second thing is always, what do we need to do to improve? You're the eyes out here for the company, and I need your feedback. If you think everything's going great, that's fine. If you see something that you think that we need to change, you have an idea that might be better, let's go.
I like it. What's your take on that, Michael? I want to get you into this conversation, and I want to know your point of view. Because the reason I say that is because I feel like in order to have a successful family business, everybody's got to kind of have a lane, right? I have it with our guys. They might as well be my brothers. I'm like, this is your lane, this is your lane, this is your lane. We're all going down the same highway. We're trying to get to the same spot. But if you stay in your lane, we're going to be just fine, right? So how do you guys carve those lanes out between the two of you, three of you? Like, what does that look like? What's your day-to-day look
So
like?
my day-to-day is Gulf Asset Recovery. That's what that is.
Okay.
Surplus sales for an e-commerce website.
Okay.
A lot of the boats that are decommissioned, we go on there and take off all the usable electronics, engines, gears, basically anything that is of value that
Over and
we
above
can sell.
the price of scrap.
Correct.
Okay.
So we kind of created another basically business based on stuff that we were doing with our decommissioning side on boats, which was, we're just going to be throwing it in the trash, but these is actual valuable things that we're doing enough of it to where we can create value. So, and obviously engines, gensets, everything we come out of these needs to be managed, as well as, pipe, plate, valve, that kind of thing on the surplus side.
So what was that facility for you guys? A greenfield site? Was it an acquisition? Because when we started talking, I just assumed, okay, like Louisiana Scrap, you guys just had a couple kind of traditional, scrap metal recycling facilities, and then we started, the farther we got along in the conversation, you're like, oh no, we have this facility and we can do this, and then I started seeing the videos, I was like, oh shit, like you guys can take down some big scrap, and then, so that it kind of boggles my mind, because I'm inland, right? I'm in the middle of Idaho. Like the idea of ship breaking, cutting up, barges and big stuff, it doesn't really I just haven't really been around it. So for you guys, was that something you saw a niche in? You guys greenfield side, or did you guys buy an existing?
So one was existing that we bought in Lake Charles.
Okay.
And we had a greenfield site in our Gulf Coast facility in Gibson. So the Gulf Coast site is almost 100 acres there, and it's a very sizable slip. So our goal was to morph it into a not only marine but industrial, but that was a greenfield site. So it was the old Avondale shipyard site that's there. So it had pretty good bones to it before getting there, and plus strategically it made sense for us to go that route.
From a geography standpoint, or just from a growth standpoint?
Both. Geographically, you want to be towards the Gulf. You want to have quick access to the Gulf, and you want to have a facility that can kind of handle pretty much, any size. There's no height or width restrictions. Depth on the water is the only real thing that you're kind of limited by.
Yeah. So as the dad, did you always want the boys in the business with you? Did you ever think about it? Or did you want them to go do something different, or did you want them in?
Well, I wanted the boys to do whatever they want to do.
Okay.
Now, they didn't have an option when they were growing up. Both of them came to work for the family business when they were 14 years old. And so they knew the business. And, I want them to, there's a lot of family businesses where it's assumed that you're going to jump in and, you're going to do that. But I wanted them to know they've got an opportunity to do whatever they want to do. So and they both chose to be in the family business, and it's worked out well.
It helps when you're a decent sized business too, because it kind of creates a little bit of buffer, right? To if you guys are doing everything from, recovering, you're basically big iron cutting, asset recovery, all the way down to just your traditional day-to-day, just buying from the retail public. There does create enough avenues that you can everybody can kind of march in their own lane, if you will.
Yeah.
And so what's your, on your day-to-day, Matt, what does that look like for you?
In the scrap business, a lot of hats.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I understand that, but there's got to be a way for you guys to not bump each other too hard.
Business development manager, really, and then kind of managing of Lake Charles or Lafayette and the Gulf Coast sites, in addition to steel sales, and it's kind of what I do. So I guess you can call it a COO role, if you will, but you know, my day to day is kind of, you know, is busy obviously, but and that's the hard part is kind of delegating and once you've kind of, you know, it's hard to let go of some of those things.
It is, and I 100% know that's a. I mean, you probably know that, John. Is it hard to let go? Is it hard to give up things that you used to do at one point and let?
But it's transitioned over about the last 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
I have a really strong management team, and I always like to tell them they're better than me.
Yeah.
And so I morphed into more of a cheerleader, and I like that role. And but I'm also still the owner. I'm not out yet.
Yeah.
I still have a little bit of power and control there.
Still got some skin in the
game. So if you screw up one time, you're out. No, but thank God, the people we have are just outstanding.
Yeah. Well, you can't grow and build the size of business you guys have, the size of business we have, if you don't have good people, right? I mean, that's the name of the game. And if you don't have that, I mean, whether it's sons or, you know, or just people that are, you know, not necessarily family, but good people, like, that was always my thing. I didn't have a bunch of siblings. I had a sister, and she wanted to be a school teacher.
Yeah.
So it was, I had to go recruit, quote unquote, family into the family business to get, if I wanted to grow it. You know, that was the only option, and that's what I had to do. So, what do you guys do? I mean, because you guys have done some acquisition, right?
Yes.
And that's been a pretty big part of your, you know, growth trajectory.
It has.
Yes.
That has to create some sort of dynamic or make some things a little bit more difficult because you're trying to kind of get another company and weave them into your existing culture.
So it's corporate culture, and I'm all about that. And we've been able to, the acquisitions that we made have just assimilated and fit right in, and we have a strong corporate culture. And at the end of the day, I feel like regardless of whatever acquisition we make, that they'll blend right in with our corporate culture.
So who drives that for you guys, like internally? Who drives that? Because somebody's got to be pushing that. I mean, and consistent with it. Does that come from the two of you? Does it come from others within your organization?
So we've got, at our higher, kind of our GMs at locations all have 20 plus years experience. And so they've been in the business a long time. And so it drives from the top. I mean, I started with my father, obviously, and the type of acquisitions we've made, they've meshed very well with our corporate culture. And it's obviously something we look at when considering potentially going to grow it.
Was that a big part of the vetting process when you were looking
It was.
at?
I would say for
It
sure.
was.
Yes.
Yeah. People want to just look at the financials, right? And they want to just look at, oh, does it make money? Does it not? I mean.
Well, again, back to his point, people, right? So people is the key. And so you're not only buying a business, you're buying, you know, and typically in our acquisition, for the ones we've done so far, we've kept on the family that has been there. And that's important to us, I mean, obviously. So typically it's family-run organizations that we're looking at. And so that is definitely part of the vetting process, is the people that are there as well.
My wife and I've got two young sons. I got a 10-year-old and a 14-year-old, two boys. So that's why I was like excited for this podcast, because I could see it, right? And whether they want to be in it or not, like, that's a whole nother deal, but I could see where it could go. But my kids love Shark Tank, so I watch Shark Tank all the time. And I tell them, I say, watch Cuban, because to me, like, the way he goes about it, like, there's often times where I don't think Cuban really believes in the business, but he loves the person,
right?
And he'll go out a deal where it's like that doesn't really make financial sense, and he's just like whatever, like. But you can tell, like, when I watch it, just because I know that's how I look at things. I'm like very people driven. I'm like, okay, if I can get the right people, I could probably put about any business together, and we'll do okay, right?
Yeah.
And then you got to kind of put the other pieces in place to really make it grow.
Yeah.
But he's oftentimes making deals just for the entrepreneur, just for the person that's sitting there pitching them. And I feel like that can get lost in that acquisition process of, you know, that's what's going to drive that business, and then you give them then the gasoline on the back end that they might not have been getting, you know, from the previous ownership group or whatever, the help they need, the tools they need to build it. I feel like that's kind of a big part of it. Has that been a big
That's
part
it. You hit the nail on the head. It's all about people. The acquisitions we've made. I've never really lost any of our managers over about the last 20 years.
Yeah.
None.
It speaks to what you guys are doing to take care of your team. I mean, that's a bold statement, right? To say we haven't lost anybody in 20 years that we didn't want to lose, that wanted us, you know, that we wanted to keep, you know.
Yeah.
Like, we're able to keep them. That speaks to people believing in what you guys are doing and where you guys are going. So where are you guys' facility located?
So we've got 4. We've got Lafayette, it's kind of the headquarters, I guess you could say, and then Port Allen, Lake Charles, and Gibson, Louisiana.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now, how far are they from a mileage? Like, how far are they away from each other, roughly speaking? Because I don't know that geography well.
Geographically, they're all about an hour.
Okay.
An hour's drop from Lafayette.
With Lafayette being the home base?
Home base simply because that's where I'm from.
So do you all live in Lafayette?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. Because I would assume the facility you're working out of for the most part on the asset recovery side is not in Lafayette, right?
No, it's in Lafayette.
It isn't, okay.
Yeah. So a lot of things we'll bring back to Lafayette, but the larger stuff we keep at the other yards and sell out of there.
Okay. On the decommissioning side, yeah.
Right.
So what's the coolest thing you've seen come through, or like something that's like interesting people wouldn't think would come through there?
How about the boat from Tampa with the offshore where they had the helicopter, and it had a
Fisherman's Paradise.
Fisherman's Paradise had a bar and a restaurant in the boat.
Yeah, we I think we took out the fish tank, right?
Yeah, we tried to take another fish tank.
So
it was a very large. It was like for a restaurant inside the boat.
Oh wow!
It was, I don't know how many thousands of gallons, but it was a
Were
pretty.
you able to get it out?
Yeah, we got it out.
It's actually still in our Gibson facility. We're trying to figure out what the heck to do with it. You know, what office we can put it in. You know.
The problem is when you get into bigger scrap and then you want to save stuff, it's bigger and it takes up more. You know, a little scrap yard, you can get little stuff, you can put a little stuff in the corner. You guys get big stuff, like multi-$1,000 or multi-1,000-gallon tanks. So you got to find a big home for that.
Yeah, you can turn into a hoarder pretty quick in the scrap business. You know what I mean?
Man, everywhere I've been to enough. My wife thinks I'm crazy, but I was like, I've never been to a town that I haven't wanted to go see what the scrap yards are. She's like, we're in Hawaii, and I'm like, for our honeymoon, we had just got married, and she's wanting to go see this and go see that, and I was like, I was going through kind of an industrial area, and I was like, oh, I just know in my bones there's a scrap yard around here. So it's like enough, like for a week, just give me a week. And I was like, let's go over here. I want to go see. Even if I just like looking over the fence, like at least I get to see what it is. But I mean, was it always been that way? Like for you? I mean, how did you get into the business? What's the?
So I work for the 24th largest company in America. I work for their drilling company in Lafayette, Louisiana, and the company had to sell their oil and gas interest. They were a big conglomerate, and we made the data room. We put all the information together for that, and I knew I had about 9 months was the process. So me and my co-workers, and we looked at small business opportunities. We went to the franchises, McDonald's and Burger King and the whatnots, and looked in the phone book. There was a business broker. Things were so bad. Oil was $10 a barrel. The oil and gas market, which is our town, Lafayette, it was gone. And so I figured if I'm going to stay, that's the only opportunity I'm going to have.
Yeah.
So there was an ice cream business that had 2 locations. This is September. Not the smartest guys, sharpest tool in the shed, but I realized that ice cream going into winter might not be the best thing.
Yeah.
So there
You
was
cash flow for a while.
there was a recycling company, and back then felt like that's the wave of the future. The business was I was able to get self-financing from the owner, and it was a reasonable offer, and so that's how I ended up. I had a 6'4" and a 2-year-old, and I had to borrow money from my in-laws to finance CDs at the bank, for their CDs, for a line of credit, and jumped off into it, and with 2 employees, and
You haven't looked back since?
never looked back.
I love it.
But the key there is, it gives you, by going through that process, I know that whatever happens, I'll be able to figure it out.
So you did that by yourself. You didn't have any business partners at that time. I mean,
No.
other than obviously your in-laws loaning everybody loaning you some money to get
And
it done.
that was just CDs that they pledged to the bank.
Okay, just to get you some revenue.
I cashed out my 401k to put the down payment, if you will, on the business. He
Yeah.
financed 50K over 50 months, cash, through the mail, going to Dallas, Texas. That was interesting.
Yeah,
I get
bet.
to go to the post office box, get the little green cards back, and I had my little stack of cards. And this was an old gas station. It was built in like the 40s, and it was in disrepair. I'll just say that.
So you were sending 50,000 at a time, or through the mail?
No, $1,000 a month.
$1,000 through the mail.
Cash
in
through
cash.
the mail monthly for 50 months.
For 50 months. Huh.
So all of those things, because I didn't have the money to do otherwise,
Yeah.
and so it's one of those rags to riches type things.
Well, you
over
bet on
time.
yourself, right?
Oh yeah.
Like, I mean,
I've always been confident in my abilities, and I just felt like if it doesn't work out, I just go get a job.
yeah.
No big deal.
I tell this to people all the time, and probably some of them think I'm crazy. Like they're like, "Why would you do that?" I'm like, "What's the worst that could happen? You gonna take
Yeah.
my birthday away?
Yeah.
Like, what are you gonna do? You're like, why would you start that? Why would you do that? Why? I said, because I feel like I can figure that deal out. Like I
I've
don't
been working all
jump
my
at-
life. Yeah.
I don't jump at every opportunity, but if I see something that I'm like, I could do that, and I think I could be good at it, like I'll shove them all in and be like, yep, let's go. Just and because I don't have, to me, I feel like I've learned a lot of hard lessons over the years, right? And I feel like it may take me a couple years to get back, but I know I could like speed up the process because I've made a lot of the mistakes already. So I know kind of I'd be able to kind of work my way through it. As long as I don't burn anybody in the process, then and people will still want to do business with me, right? They'll be like, yeah, let's go, let's figure it out. You know, I think that's the key is the relationships and the network and building those over time and keeping those intact regardless of what transpires, you know, on the business side. So,
Yes, sir.
so that's awesome. So you started at one facility, and how long until you got to number 2?
Well, it's a small deal where I had one of my small dealers that came in, and he had 2 small locations, one man, little rural towns, and that didn't work out, and they ended up shutting those down within a year. And then I guess my big break was I was delivering to a non-ferrous to a company in New Orleans, and they decided to close the business. And that was all the small dealers in South Louisiana.
Okay.
And I called them up and said, hey, if you'll give my phone number to all of these other dealers, tell them I'll buy the material in Lafayette, Louisiana, I'll sell you whatever you want. And it was Cometco out of St. Louis.
Okay.
And they gave everybody my number. Everybody started coming in, and that was the big catalyst that moved me ahead by light years.
So what created that opportunity? What was it? A relationship you had at Cometco?
Yes, Jeff Marlette was his name, and I had dinner or lunch with him yesterday here. And that was
there was a trust factor in there somewhere that he thought you could handle it, do it.
That was 33 years ago.
Time, yeah.
Time.
So, which puts you guys at. I mean, you're probably a little younger than me. But what's
40.
your age? 40.
Yeah.
How old are you?
38.
39. 38. So I'm 42.
Yeah.
So you were still at the pretty close to within the first handful of years, right? Because if you said, I mean, it was 33. I'm just trying to do like basic math, which can be tough after a few days in Vegas, where you're like, figure it out. So your first business, your first location had to be in what, late 70s, late 70s?
Well, 88.
88. Okay. Yeah.
December the 1st, 88 was when I had the acquisition, and I started. I was the last guy out at the drilling company, handing in the keys.
Did you bring anybody from the drilling company over into the scrap?
I did not.
You did not.
Again, it was just the two.
But there was
laborers.
But even down the road, where you had known there's some quality people that you could bring in. That never.
Some children of some people I used to work with. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
They came to work for me, and one other little thing happened that one of these dealers out in New Orleans called me one day and said, "Hey, I've seen a bunch of steel. Heard about a bunch of steel down in the Caribbean, in Jamaica." I said, "Well, my brother in New Orleans knows the manager of the biggest alumina manufacturer in Jamaica. So I'll have my brother give you a call." My brother calls me about 3 hours later and says, we're going to be partners with Barry, and we're going to Jamaica, and we're going to be in the scrap business, and me and him and my other brother would be 50-50 with Barry. We're 50, he's 50. We go to Jamaica, we lose our ass. We relocate that business to Baton Rouge, Louisiana. My partner and my brothers dash on their interest in the business because it's got a negative net worth. And then Barry ends up dying. It goes to his interest. His 50% goes to the bankruptcy court, and I buy it out of bankruptcy court for a very low, about $150,000.
Wow.
And then my manager, Chip Dejan, built that business, and it went like a rocket ship, and that's what got us here today.
That's awesome.
Yep, all of those things.
Yeah. So how much of it do you attribute to luck, and how much do you attribute to skill? Like, if you had to, I mean, is it a lot of skill?
80% luck and 20% skill.
Okay. Do you agree with that?
I'd say more like 50-50, but
yeah. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's more 50-50.
Yeah.
But you got to have the chutzpah to, I got kids at home. They eat, they go to school. We got to pay for school, and I kept, it's one of those. You got to really make a commitment, and boy, if it goes bad, you're out.
Yeah.
You're out. Just go get another job.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the beautiful thing about this business and this industry is, if you know the business and you know the industry, and like I said before, if you don't screw anybody, right? So your name is still worth something. You can work anywhere. Like, you can find a job if you want to stay in it, right? Like, because it's just such a unique deal, and what we're doing every day. There's only so many people that can actually understand it and really like it and want to stay in it. So yeah, I'm with you. That's one of the reasons why I've been able to push, is I'm like, let's go.
One other thing I did, and I'll make this quick.
You're good. I love it. I can
so
sit
what
here.
Happens is,
if I had whiskey, we might go for hours.
Remember, I get 30 dealers that are bigger than me. Mm-hmm. I'm in a little gas station, 150 feet by 150 feet. If we don't have a truck come in, I got 1 million pounds in the yard, we got a problem.
Yeah.
Right? So what I did, I got to meet every one of them personally, and I would be the guy that would be on the forklift out there unloading them. They would be sitting in the air conditioning inside. my deal was I could get them unloaded in 30 minutes, an 18-wheeler, and you know how that goes. You're in the business, and I could get them paid and get them out. The competition, you'd be there all day, and they always would have downgrades. These guys, I got to know them, their wives, their children, and even their parents, and we've all been really close over the years. And so the bottom line is that we didn't have time to weigh everything. If you're gonna unload something in 30 minutes, you can't. So I just take they'd send me their manifest. I'd unload everything and just write them a check. I never weighed anything. Not too many people will do that.
Yeah.
So, and you win a lot of respect by doing that. And most of the time, I'd find where on the manifest, they ship more boxes, and we'd weigh those up and tell them, look, you got an extra, I mean, some of it was pretty material.
Yeah.
And people really appreciate that, right?
Yeah, it goes back to trust, right? And
Trust.
I feel like if someone has to extend the hand of trust first, right? Someone, and I've been always more well served, like saying, I'll vet stuff, obviously. I'm not just saying, yeah, go ahead, see what happens, But if I said, hey, I'll give you a shot, like I trust you, most people, like, they actually value that, and they actually want to prove you right. And I think there's a lot in what you just said is this industry, no matter how many apps and no matter how much crap they want to put on, like, somebody's selling and post this and do that, like, this bill of lading with this manifest with this, like, there is a certain amount that needs to be done, especially with some of the theft stuff going on, and I understand that. But this industry was built on people trusting each other to do what they said they were going to do, not sign bill of ladings, not sign contracts, just, hey, I trust you, like, and because here's the deal, if you fuck me once or whatever, I'm out, like, I'm not going to do business with you. And I'll probably tell 10 people that you did it, right? Which I've always said, I want to tell 10 people how good you treated me, because if you took care of me, I want you to get more business, because that's good for me, because all of a sudden, like, you're in a bigger position, a better position. I could probably get a little more money out of you for my commodities, because you now have the ability to pay more because you're bigger and you're better. But somebody has to extend the hand of trust first.
Right.
Makes sense. So you proud of your boys?
Absolutely.
What makes you the most proud about just you being in the position that you're in? I mean, when you look at them, I mean, what kind of makes you smile the most?
Well, there's several things, right? Number one, I get to work with my boys every day.
Yeah.
Number two is knowing that they're happy in what they're doing in life. Warren Buffett's thing, you want to go skipping and whistling to work every morning. And not that they do that, but I know that they're happy in what they do. They're satisfied. And so we get to work together, and we get to figure out any problems, and it's worked out great.
That's awesome.
Now they might have something to say about it.
Yeah, that's coming next.
Yeah.
I'm like, so boys. So yeah, what's your take on it? I mean, proud of your dad? What do you happy? You happy? You doing what you're doing? Like what you're doing?
To me, there's no greater business in the world. The scrap business, obviously, we both grew up in, and I speak for myself, but I always knew I wanted to be in the business, from an early age. It's just, you never know what the next thing's going to come through the door that you're going to see, or the next person you're going to meet, or what industry you're going to deal with. And obviously, we learned from him. I mean, we've seen it where we started, obviously. I was young, but what's funny is our current office is across the street from the gas station of where he started, right? So literally going to work every day, it was, the memories I have are some crazy stuff. I mean, the old yard, I mean, I can remember, there was a little person, I guess you could call him, unloading scrap with no shirt on, back then, and I was kind of just like my mouth open, like, oh, that's a dealer, like that's a normal, like, oh, hey Clay, or whatever his name was. I'm like, oh, wow, that's a normal thing. All right, awesome. And so it's those guys, and then just seeing the whole thing from the beginning. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I love what I do, for sure.
All right, Michael.
Yeah, I mean, we basically grew up in the scrap yard, so at an early age, what, you say 14?
14.
14. I mean, we worked every summer, every day in the summer. So, you know, we saw all kinds of stuff, and
the worst
we knew
of the job.
that
We're not talking about in the office.
You know,
they're out running cans through a machine.
First, he's smart, you know. He started on the cans, right?
Yeah.
So like the dirtiest job, the roaches, the snakes, all the stuff.
Done it.
That's where we
done it
started.
for a
Busting
lot.
back,
Yeah,
and, you know, pouring water out.
Baby diapers, chew spit.
That's correct.
Yeah,
That's
make
correct.
sure you don't get needles.
I know that. Especially if you're 16, you start having a couple beers with your buddies, and the next day you got to do that. Like, that's the worst job ever. Yeah, I know.
So what's funny is we had friends too work in the business too. You know, they needed summer jobs. They all quit within like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Every one of them, and they're, you know, so say these hard guys or whatever. But, you know, metal's it's not for everybody.
But it's for
So,
you.
yeah, it's for me. Yeah, it's been great. But again, going back, you know, you work those summers and you realize, I don't know what I'm gonna do with my life, but I definitely don't want to do manual labor. I don't want to have to, you know, bust bags.
Yeah.
So, but going forward, you know, back in it and love it.
Can I ask one question real quick? What's the future of Louisiana Scrap look like?
Two things: improve our business, number one. Take care of our people, number one. How do you know? There's a lot of ways to do that. By doing that, you'll improve your business and improve our business and expand and grow, so that our key people will have more opportunity as we grow the business. That's the good news is that financially we're in a position that it's not it's not going to be a problem for the rest of our life.
Right. What does it look like to you, Matt?
Well, I think, you know, we've grown pretty. You know, we've made some acquisitions in the last 7 to 10 years, which I think will continue. And in our industries, you have a lot of, you know, opportunities. So I think, you know, I'm happy where we're at today, but I think we've got room to improve and obviously grow as well.
What's it look like to you, Michael?
Yeah, I mean, strategic growth and making sure that, you know, our existing locations are functioning right, and making sure you don't get too big and, you know, neglect somebody, and making sure everything is cohesive.
So, my last question of the day. What's your advice for other family businesses in this industry? How do you make it work so well? The best piece of advice you could give them, I mean, whether it's encouragement or just something that's really helped you guys have success and keep the relationship. I could tell there's a relationship here. But it's not a I'm doing this and you're doing that. Like there's a real respect. How do you keep that and create that?
Our management styles, not from the top down, it's from the bottom up, and that's a key. To me, the golden rule. That's a big deal. I'm big on that. Treat other people like you want to be treated, and your life will be good.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say, you know, I guess it is a rarity that we all get along. You know what I mean? As a family business and working family, because you got dynamics, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's our kids are all close, our wives are close. We're very, very fortunate that we're all so close and doing what we want to do. I mean, I think we're all happy in that where, like you said, if we've grown it big enough to where we can each have responsibility lanes and obviously provide value. That's the biggest thing, is providing value, but be happy what you're doing. And again, it's stemmed from him, and we learned a lot. We learned a lot of that hard work. It's not lost on us because we experienced it. We were there. We saw it. That's a big part of it, and that's hard to probably transition as generational businesses go, right? To get that same.
Absolutely, be willing to work hard. Be willing to, because I know what it is to me, but I'm curious to you, Michael. What's that piece of advice? What would you give other people out there that have siblings in the business, that family business? What's?
I mean, having, I'd say, different lanes, like you mentioned earlier, is, I mean, to some degree important. So you're not always overstepping boundaries or getting into conflicts at work, which would then translate to, you know, conflicts in personal life. But so I mean, I'd say that's a key part of it.
Yeah.
And it is still nice to go down to the office, you know, get a babysitter.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
just right down the office.
So it's communication for me, right? It's your ability to keep communicating. And there was, whenever my dad and I ran into issues, it was because we weren't communicating. We weren't saying it, we weren't, you know, being able to lay it on the table and say, this is what I think and this is why I think it, right? It was just, no, this is what we're doing. And anytime we ever got into an issue, it was because of a lack of communication. But as soon as we cleaned up the communication, all of a sudden, we solved the problem. But anytime there was a breakdown in the communication, that's where our breakdown was. So that's what it's been for me. And so that's why I was curious what that was for you guys. Well, I just want to say thank you. Thank you guys for taking the time. It's awesome to meet you in person. We've been talking on the phone, and I think you guys got a good thing, man. And you guys are very blessed in the fact that you do have that relationship, and I don't ever take it for granted. That's
Right.
all I got.
Thank you for hosting us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Nice
taking
to meet
the time.
you, too.
Good to meet you as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm glad we were able to do it.